Alright guys, welcome to this lovely screencast I have going on here of Premiere. I'm not showing you my face today because I just finished my cardio for tonight and I don't look good and nasty and stuff. So anyway, it's Friday, so I wanted to make sure I got a tutorial in. Been trying hard to get back on the bandwagon with that. That being said, here is an old project. This is from 2013. We did a film. We did a bunch of effects and other things for a film called Skinwalker Ranch 2013. And it's a kind of a found footage documentary horror film it's about some pretty popular stories around Utah and things like that. So anyway, long story short, let's talk about the sequence I want to talk about, because what I did specifically for this show, my studio did the visual effects for it. So my partner did an awesome job with the visual effects. There were some trying circumstances with some of the technicalities of shooting. Whenever you're shooting found footage, people like to move the camera around a lot, and that can have some tracking issues. Whatever. Long story short, it was one of those projects to learn a lot from. Also, like I said, what I particularly did for it was this intro sequence. Well, let's just look at the trailer real quick. So they have in the trailer, the sequence is right at the beginning. So this is a found footage. This is supposed to be 1973. Obviously heavily filtered to make it look like it's old school 8mm found footage film, or archival footage. And then it goes into talking about the show. But that's the sequence that I shot, and the full sequence for that's actually in the movie somewhere, where they find this footage. This old researchers had put together about the thing. Anyway, I'm going to let you watch the movie if you want to watch it. But let's just talk about the sequence. So we shot this sequence right here. I'm going to play this because this is the graded, unfiltered to make it look old film. But this is just a nice little bit of a grade on the footage. We shot this in 2 days in a field. It was pretty darn cold. I think it was in November or October or something. I just remember it being really, really cold. But we shot this on the 7D. I think I had my Tameron 18 to 55 zoom 2.8 and with an ND filter on the front, variable ND. And there was a couple times I had to pull the ND going from that van you saw going out the window so you could see the exposure was good going both ways. Alright, so the whole point of this is this girl has some kind of thing wrong with her, and they're going to test her out. But this is one of my favorite sequences, mostly because look at that wonderful, wonderful sun. Now, this is one of those times as a DP, you got to remember that you know what the light's doing, or you should be aware what the light's doing, because this scene was supposed to be at nighttime, and they were waiting around for the night. And I said, guys, you know what? Let's just try it right now, because this sun's going to look awesome. This golden hour. Oh, there we go. Come on. Super amazing look as you go through here. So you can see we have the lens flares coming in, look really super cool. This is all obviously in camera. The light, and this isn't a very severe grade either. This is just a little bit of tweaks of the colors for warmth. There you go. I'm pulling the ND right here with my finger as I'm pulling focus at the same time. So you pull up to the girl. This is supposed to be really really handheld, really raw, just like researchers in the field documenting what they're doing. So on purpose, we're jump cutting, and I think I'm pointing on the ground on purpose as we get out. It's tighter than I would have liked to shoot it, but I wasn't directing. So anyway, we go through this field. I love how the sun's coming in, that nice side light, that golden light, all the highlights on people's shoulders. And the suits, the cool rubber suits, they're these old Russian hazmat suits that they got online. Unused, I would think. There you go. I love that sun coming right through there. You can see all those flares. You can see there's a little bit of vignette too going on. Alright, so moving on. So we're back in the van now. Again, for lighting, I really didn't do much in here. I think I had one LED, battery LED, just off to the girl's face here. but we didn't actually use it that much in this van. All right, so cut to nighttime, so they end up traveling quite a bit. Let's talk about this scene. So they pull up to this research facility. We have these big, huge army tents. We have these light stands, lighting arrays set up. And the fun thing about this is these are just big combo stands set up with parkans on the top, like stage lights. And we're in the middle of nowhere. We had two 6,500-watt generators running in the back, so we had plenty of juice for everything. But that did cause a little bit of a problem later on I'll talk about. This center tent was the only tent that had any actual thing going on. There was 2 other tents you can see here. They had crafty and wardrobe in them, but no heaters. It was freezing. All right, so we're moving on. There's a little glint off the gun. All right, so we have our tents, and then what we wanted to do, this is one of those instances where they want to have these spots of light. You come into the light. This whole sequence is all about coming and going in these pools of light. I think this was a little 1K nook up here. It was basically a 750 zip or something. Basically, halogen work light, just a little bit more than 500 watts. And we had these guys strung up on combo stands just in the middle of the scene because we could do that, because that's the best, is when you're a DP and you can just throw your fixtures in the middle of the scene and nobody cares. That's actually my gaffer right there. They needed to have somebody stand outside and he was done, so he's like, I'll do it. All right, so we're getting out of the dirty van. He walks up. This is also, we had a whole bunch more fixtures up on these lighting arrays, but it was just too bright once we got out there. So we turned off, I think, 2 or 3 extras that were up there. Again, I love how the lights just, look at these hard edges, side lights coming off people. I love it. She has a moment of realization. She's like, where am I? As we freeze, you can see everyone's breath. And that's all pretty straightforward. So again, we just had, for this lighting setup, those 2 trees, those 2 arrays set up left and right at 45s, and the one in the center. Her face is getting lit up, obviously, by the ones to the left, getting a kicker from the ones on the right, moving on. Nothing too complex, just kind of is what it is, but it looks awesome. Now, we're going into this tent. Now, this tent, we took a day and rigged. They had these, it's a military, what am I trying to say here? Quarantine tent. So we had this huge tent, and they ripped all these plastic dividers. And going in here, the director again wanted moving to give it some depth, give it some interest, and some control. We would decide to do pools of light. So we had a whole bunch of these dish lights that you just get at Home Depot. It's what everybody tells you to get back in the day if you look at the DIY stuff. And we hung them along this corridor. So they walk around the corner here. You can look up. You can see they move from pool of light to pool of light. These are just regular old incandescent light bulbs. There we go. Moving in and out, in and out. And they stop and they have the girl go into the examination room. We'll talk about that setup in a second. They go into the quarantine room. There's supposed to be some steam that comes down and washes them. This was another special where they wanted this kind of pool of lights showcasing that they're taking off their masks, putting them in this case. So this is a really fun area to light. Whenever you can just really focus I like it when you can focus on small areas and just highlight what you want to. And in this room in here, it was kind of fun to set up. I'll tell you what we did here. So now we're into kind of just this sterile, lit environment. Again, nothing too special. We weren't worrying about a style per se, although the style was industrial. So the plan was to have our kinos in the along the walls of the tent here, so that we could add just a little bit of texture to everything. So we had, and I'm going to jump back just a little bit here. Back up here. So as you walk in, you can see a little bit. There's a little bit of a glow just off right here. Here's one 2-bank Kino I had left off the truck. We had 2 4-banks and 2 2-banks. Because the idea was they also had a bunch of these shop lights that were fluorescent shop lights. Because we weren't too worried about color tone, color matching. again, it was supposed to be just, they were going to heavily filter it, destroy the footage. This is a lot cleaner than what you're seeing. This is also uncolored now. This is the uncorrected version. This is what you're getting off the 7D, off my native settings. Anyway, long story short, so these tubes up here ended up being, we just took the naked Kino tubes and stuck them up there because the fluorescent shop lights we had, it was too cold for them to warm up properly to not flicker. We do want it to flicker later on, but we wanted to control the flicker. So we ended up having to use all of our Kino bulbs up in this room, and the shop lights we just kind of threw off to the side. But it worked out. I think it worked okay. Oh, here's one other special note. Anybody who's an audio guy, check out this little gem. There's a Nagra. Look at that. Awesome. Okay. Moving on. So we go into here. Once we put it all up and looked at it, I didn't do any too much tweaking. I just, after looking, I thought, you know what, that looks pretty good. You can see that she's got a little bit of a half light on her face here. Lights bouncing everywhere off the whites. We have some cool contrast. All right, she gets all scared. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on this particular scene here. All right, moving on. This is all raw footage, so, or no, is this the cut sequence? I can't tell. Sorry guys, this is a long time ago. All right, so what happens is she shoots herself with a needle. There's a stunt that happens. I'm fast forwarding right now, and then the guys run into the exam room to check out the doctors. Okay, so once the exam room went all dark, this is when we're manually flickering these lights out by the generator. So my gaffer's out there flipping those lights on and off, giving us a nice pattern. The exam guys go in, and there you go. So now we're flipping everything. I'm going to rewind, sorry. So we're coming back to the exam room again. So this little blue light in the corner here, what we did is I made sure we had some kind of anchor light because we were going to track this scene because our scientist guy, oop, my computer's going to, let me see about that. All right, where were we? Okay, so the exam guys were going to, oh, his head was going to explode, and I'll tell you how we did that too. So he goes in here and, oh, my head hurts, and basically his head explodes, and it's a horror film. What do you want? But I wanted to make sure we had something to track in there, do a planar tracker, so the guys had something to track. Now he covers it here. This is a couple different takes, but I didn't end up. There was one where he doesn't cover the light just to make sure we had it. And then we go back out where the camera guy, aka me, is supposed to back out all scared, don't know what's going on, it's flickering, again, going through these pools of light, trying to make it as crazy and creepy as possible, and then this entity alien comes and gets me or something. And I fall down. I literally fell down like 12 times for the director. Oh, there it is. So anyway, we're back in the van. I think this is all raw now instead of colored. Let me just jump down to my sequence and see. No, this is still a little bit of colored. So there we go. So there's the sequence. We got some steam going on in the, oops, sorry guys, in the decontamination room. A couple of, okay, so here's our stunt scene. Boom. And we had to time that light flicker as well. Boom. And head explosion. Ready? I think it happens right here. And I'm not a big horror film guy, but let me just tell you how this happened. So after all was said and done, we took another sheet of clean plastic out in the middle of the field, lit it up, just kind of as flat as possible, and then we took a watermelon or something, drilled it out, put a bunch of dye in it, put a dry ice bomb in it, and blew it up. So we had a practical element you could composite on top of there. So kind of fun. All right, so there we go. Moving on. Okay, this is the, oh, this is when the scary chick happens. So again, flickering all of our lights. Trying to show here. There's a lot of set dressing that happened on this show, so it took us 2 nights to do. Again, there's some anchor lights to see what's going on. There's our scary girl. She gets all scary. And then I run away. So that is about it, guys. Oh, here's our raw stuff. So I was wrong before. I apologize. This is our raw footage, so we're plenty clean here. Much brighter than before, so you can see that we have not as much contrast. Fast forwarding. Let me zoom forward and see what we have as far as any more. I don't really have any behind the scenes footage. I wish I had gotten more. There we go. I wish I had gotten more kind of wider shots showing the setup of the tent and of the van and everything, but it wasn't to be that day. So here we go. You can see just our lights up there going through as they walk through. So this is our non-graded version. And I'll jump back over to our graded version right afterwards. So this is a great example of just using practicals, kind of playing with the light. Again, not being afraid to have some dark and shadows to work with. From a cinematic standpoint, you know, the nurse looks kind of boring, her face looks boring, but we're not worried about that because we're more about the room they're going into. In this room, I think we had a 2-bank Kino on the ceiling shooting down, just to kind of give it some ambient fill. And you can see I had a couple of there's our Kinos in the ceiling, and there's a Kino on the wall, and my other 2-foot Kino on the other wall, like I had said previously. And it was kind of cool to have these clear plastic walls, because we could shove these Kinos back behind the plastic and have it be a nice diffused source. All right, moving on. This is long takes too. We tried to keep it as much of a one shot as possible. The zipper wouldn't work, so we got stuck. Director had to come help. Director saves the day. All right, so there's our hallway. There it is, clean. Now let's jump back to not clean. Oops, come on. There we go. So a lot more contrast, a lot darker. I'm just gonna slide ahead here and see. Here's our van stuff. That's raw. Good old 7D. You can see this is pulling the exposure and the focus at the same time. 2 fingers on the barrels. I'm just going to skip ahead. And that's about it, guys. Not much more to see than that. Apologize, it's not much more technical or informative, but just another example of what you can do and how we set things up. Any thoughts or questions, please let me know. I'm scrubbing through to make sure I haven't forgotten anything important or interesting. Doesn't look like it. It looks like this is what it is. So there you go. If you're into horror, go check out the Skinwalker Ranch. It's a 2013 film, and again, shot on the 7D, which they then turned around and made look as crappy as possible. But that was the point of that particular usage of the footage. But I just love the way there's our gaffer and the director giving us. We're doing a walkthrough to kind of just have an idea of what it's going to look like. But I just love this golden hour stuff. Just turned out looking so awesome. That's going to go on the reel. Good old 7D. Alright, and that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope I didn't ramble too much. Again, this was more of just kind of a quick look, and I wanted to get this out there. It's been sitting in my project queue for about 3 years now. 2 years, I guess. But subscribe, like, share, any other thing like that would be awesome. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. How do I stop this thing?